Order. I want to welcome our visitors and people on council and our staff to the meeting this evening. We'd like to start off by asking Pastor Morris to lead us in the invocation.
Let us pray. Father, we bow our heads before you today. We thank you for the opportunity of life and strength. We thank you for a beautiful day this time of year. Springtime is a beautiful time as we see the creation seemingly come to life from the winter. We appreciate that. Lord, we appreciate this town that you've allowed us to live in and all the folks of it. We appreciate those that are our overseers of this town. Pray that you'd always bless them with wisdom and knowledge to be able to conduct the business the way it should be done. And Lord, we pray for your protection hand upon us, Lord. We pray that you bless. And thank you for your Son that died for us so that we could have eternal life. Lord, we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We could stand and have a pledge of allegiance to our flag. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our next item of business is acceptance of the agenda this evening. Do I have any requests to amend our agenda as presented by staff for this meeting this evening? Hearing no comments, asking to amend the agenda, I will ask for a call of the vote to accept tonight's agenda.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes, sir.
per previous discussion you and I had, the only thing that I'm aware of, you may wish to remove the closed session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes. I will, for our town manager, and his discussion, request that we remove the closed session from tonight's agenda. I think the reason for that is no longer necessary. I think it can be discussed in our closing comments this evening, and there'll be no need for a closed session. So that is my request. Do I hear a motion to remove that particular item? That is the closed session of tonight's meeting from the agenda.
I'll make that motion, sir.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All right, vote all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, the motion is passed. All right, do I have a motion to accept tonight's agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second, first second, all right. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have an agenda this evening that's acceptable. All righty, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Consists of 8 items, and I'll read off those 8 items. And as you know, that if anyone on the council, including the mayor, decides that they would like to pull a particular item off and discuss it separately, we can certainly do that, but otherwise we will accept the consent agenda as is, if that's the will of the council. All right, the first consent is the approval of the planning retreat minutes of February 26th, approval of agenda briefing minutes of March the 8th, approval of regular meeting minutes of March the 11th, approval of closed session minutes of March the 11th, approval of special meeting minutes of March 23rd, approval of closed session minutes of March 23rd, approval of resolution 04-21 title, resolution approving financing terms, approval of, and 8 is approval of budget amendments, and that is section A is for the Troutman ESC Park Fund for construction of concrete walking path around multipurpose field. Subsection B is loan payment for Mill Village Sewer Project, and C is project acquisition and loan proceeds. Do I hear a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
I'll make that motion, sir.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. The consent agenda is approved. All right, we will next move on to our standing reports, and our first report will be from Kelly Goodwin, Trotman Library Quarterly Report. Hey, Kelly.
Good evening. I have a little bit of a short report for you guys this month. We're still operating on our Monday through Friday hours 9 to 6, but we are hoping within the next month or so to start reducing some of those restrictions and start bringing back some Saturday hours. Once the county and library administration all approves that, then we'll start easing back in. And we are still operating on the limited capacity also, which that hasn't been too much of a problem for us as of yet. Most people are just in and out pretty quickly. We're not offering in-person programs yet, but we have started passing out some little take and make activities for the kids and for teens. So those have been a pretty big hit so far. We also have a lot of virtual programming on our social media sites. We've been trying to get some engagement through there. All of our take and make kits are on a first come first served basis, so they tend to go pretty fast. About as soon as we put them out on the table, they tend to go. And we do have some there right now. So for our preschool age group, if anyone is interested, stop by the library and pick up a take and make kit. We are in the process of planning our summer reading program right now. It's gonna look similar to what we're doing right now with take and make kits and virtual programming still. We are planning on doing a drive-through kickoff down the road here at Parks and Rec. We're still working out some of the details on that, but it will be posted down there like we did a few years ago. So it's a pretty good spot for us to have bigger people and do a drive-through through their parking lot there. We're working with them on that. We're gonna have more take and make kits. Right now we're doing 1 or 2 a month, but we're hoping to have 1 or 2 a week during summer, and that should be all throughout June and July and possibly August. But we're working on making all of those right now, so we've been pretty busy working on that and planning those. We're also planning virtual storytelling videos, and we've lined up a few performances from past performers that we've had in the library that we knew were pretty popular, so we're hoping that the virtual performances will be just as good. And then our Troutman Friends of the Library, they will be having their next meeting here in a couple weeks on April 22nd. They'll also be having their road cleanup on that day. So the road cleanup will be at 4, and then their meeting will be at 5 o'clock. And that's for today.
Any comments? To Ms. Kelly? I just want to say I'm glad to hear that we're slowly returning to normalcy
Yeah, we're
after a
still
year
seeing,
or
we're
more.
still seeing quite a few people there, so we're pretty happy about that. Our door count has been about normal, it's a little less. We just don't see the people as long. They're pretty fast in and out, but we're happy to see all of our regulars are still coming almost daily, so we're still seeing lots of people when they keep coming, so we're happy about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's see, next report will be from the Troutman Fire Department, Mr. Wesley Morris. Seems like I've seen you somewhere, sir.
Yeah. Good evening. It's been a while since we've been here, since about, I guess, 1st of 2020, since we come and give our report. So a lot of things have been going on around the fire department. I'll just kind of hit them in general. We ran last year, total call volume we ran in 2020 was still around 2,000 calls. Some of those were, we were down a little bit. Per our medical director and EMS, we were not dispatched on a lot of the COVID calls, if they were initially, and that was the symptoms that they dispatched unless they needed first responders assistance. We're starting to be added back to those calls some now, so we anticipate our call volume to stay, if not increase, this coming year. I'm sure you've noticed we are in the new building now. I think after we talked about that last time, every report was, I'd say this date, well, it finally came. And everything is working well there. We're very satisfied, very happy to be in our new building with a lot more room for our full-time staff as well as part-time and volunteers. We have not had an open house, of course you understand why. At this point right now we're not doing any group tours at the fire department due still to the precautions for the COVID things, but as you said, hopefully we're getting back to normal. But we're still doing individuals, and I'll extend the invitation one more time. If you ever want to see it, stop by. We'll be glad to show you around the fire station. We do have 2 new fire apparatus that are on order. Those will be coming in. We've got an engine that is set to be, a new engine that is set to be delivered in August, if everything goes well. And we have a new tanker that'll be delivered in June, as far as we know. We are also currently in a hiring process. We're going to put some more full-time staff on. Actually, we're going to put 9 positions on. And what that's going to be is we're going to try to staff Station 2 and 3 24 hours. And so we'll have 2 personnel out of Station 2, a driver and a firefighter, and then we'll have a driver at Station 3. And so that will assist with bringing more apparatus and more personnel on the scene in the event of emergency. I know I talked the last time that we were doing our ISO rating. I know that's probably, you remember us talking about that we were set to do that. We did have that rating, and we're very happy to announce that we moved down to a Class 4 rating. And so we moved down, we were a Class 6-9. That 9 is what's outside of our 5-mile district. Nothing we can do about that as far as our station placement. And we're still a 9 in those areas. But everywhere else moved to a Class 4. So we were very satisfied with our rating this past time that we were rated. We are currently doing our annual Hydra testing. That we always do that in the month of April. And so if you see that or anybody asks you, that's what we're doing here in town. We're just doing the normal inspection, just flushing the hydrants and greasing the threads. On the outside of the town, we're doing flow testing, so we will be doing some flowing out there. We have to do that every 5 years, and so we've got it kind of staggered, we're not doing it all at the same time. We did in town last year, and now we're doing outside of the town this current year. So if you see that or hear anybody ask you what the fire department's doing opening and closing hydrants, that's what we're doing our annual testing. Other than that, we're still responding on every call that we get dispatched to, and just doing our part. So that's pretty much it. I'll answer any questions.
Yes,
One
sir.
thing, Mr. Hinkle. I'd just like to thank you, your officers and your members for the assistance last month up to Statesville on the mutual aid. I was proud to see our fire department going up there and helping our neighbors, and from what I heard, you guys did a wonderful job, and thank you. Please send it back to your men and women and the officers that always make town Troutman proud.
Yes, sir, I sure will, and thank you for that, I appreciate it.
On that note, I'm glad you said something because I was gonna ask, we heard that there was some minimum damage to our, to your trucks.
Yes, ma'am.
How minimal?
I can tell you exactly how much it's gonna be. We had some heat damage to the front of our ladder truck. It's gonna be about $15,000 to $20,000 worth of damage. Of course, I know you've heard all kind of things about what happened up there. Everything was going what you would normally do to fight that fire. And then it just went downhill very rapidly. And I'm sure there's all kind of rumors out there, but the heat was so extreme. Obviously, Statesville had some damage on theirs as well. It ended up being some windshield damage on our ladder truck. We have currently got that fixed, and so our ladder is back in service. If we needed it tonight, we would respond it, but we still have some damage as far as some of the light lenses are melted. That we've currently got the parts on order, and hopefully within about a month we'll be sending it off, get it fixed, and get it back as like it was. So yes, ma'am, there was some damage on our ladder.
I'm sure, I mean, seeing just the online,
Yes, sir.
I'm surprised more didn't happen in the way of something like that to equipment up there. I mean, a lot going on, and what I'll say organized chaos. I mean, what you're doing, don't mean that in a negative way,
Sure.
but just thank God it's no human being.
It was intense, and that's what we've all said, talking about it, critiquing it, what we could have done, what do we think we would have done different?
Right.
And we're just very thankful that there was no lives, because that call was one that you read about in the paper that somebody was injured. And we're thankful there was nobody.
Anybody have any other questions?
I'm coming back from my tour.
Please come, you're welcome, anytime.
Yes, I was just going to tell everyone that you give a great tour of the building. There's a lot of pride when you go through there, and you see a lot of things have improved there, so I advise you to get that tour in
Yes, sir.
until and sometime later, maybe have a group tour, but right now, it gives you a great tour of the place.
Well, thank you, and you're welcome. Come by. and
I'll be honest with you, I am the one been waiting on the open house, but I understand, and I'm, like Lena, I'm gonna come up here and get my private tour.
Please do.
I'm determined.
Be glad to have you. Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right, well, I don't think anybody has any other questions, so we thank you very much.
Thank you.
All righty, we will move to public comments. Public is invited to address the town council with comments or concerns. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per individual. Speakers are required to sign in at the podium and required to adhere to town policy number 51, titled Policy Governing Comments from the Public at Town Meetings. I won't read the rest. I don't think that really applies to us tonight. We're socially distanced and not that many in the room, so I won't bore you with the next paragraph there, but you get the gist of it. So first of all, I want to ask, is there anything that's come across online that you want to report to us? Nothing? No emails or anything? Okay. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to address us? Okay.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, my name's Jim McNiff. I'd like to share with you some quotes from articles that have appeared in the Iredell Free Press in recent months about the town of Troutman. From the December 11th edition, Petway Mills, our auditors, on their 2019-2020 audit said, we have $4 million in cash, $3.1 million in a fund balance, well over the 8% required by the state, which is also $820,000 more than the previous year. And there's $200,000 in capital savings fund, and water and sewer fund increased $810,000. On March 2nd, in that edition, Mr. Shealy, our financial head, reported property values were up 21%. Fixed balance increased from $935,000 to $2.64 million. On April the 7th, Mr. Shealy again said, we had strong sales tax. We've already exceeded our budget for the year. Sounds to me like we're doing pretty well financially. In fact, in the March 21st edition, Mayor Pro Tem Henkel was quoted as saying that the town is blessed with prosperity. I read these quotes to you because for the last 5 years I've stood before council and I've asked you to consider lowering what I consider to be the exorbitant tax rate that we in this town of Troutman pay. You've been very polite in listening to me, even gotten a few smiles from people, but nothing's been done. So this year, I've decided I'm not going to ask anymore. I'm going that question at least. What I am going to ask is how many signatures you need for me to go out and get from town of Troutman residents on a petition specifically asking that the taxes in this town be lowered until you're going to listen. Can someone give me a number? Whatever it's going to take, I will go door to door within the guidelines of what I'm able to do in terms of COVID restrictions, and I will get however many signatures you tell me I need to get on a petition before we're going to finally get these taxes being considered for lowering. Anybody?
And we're just here to listen. We're here to listen.
So what you're telling me is I could go out and I could get 1,000 signatures, bring them back to you, but you're just going to listen, is that correct?
We will act on it at budget time. We will see what our needs are and act on it at budget time, what we can afford to do. And we have a lot of situations in the town that are pressing that we need to do to plan for expansion and growth, and all of that requires resources. And all we can do is look at that when it's budget time, what is presented to us by our financial officer, what our needs are, what we've got to do by law, what we've got to do by just plain good management to prepare for the future. All of that has to be taken into consideration when you're doing your budget.
That's certainly fair. What I will say, though, is I think the problem stems from the fact that lowering the tax rate to a more reasonable level has not been given the level of priority that it should. I think it's wonderful things that we've done down in the park, the ball field, the parking lot, when we've expanded greenways, when we've done other projects. I understand why you're buying pieces of real estate. Those are for the future of this town, granted. Okay, but what's allowing you to get to the future of this town is the economics that's being produced off the backs of the people who live in this town. And when valuations have increased by 21%, I don't think I'm gonna be the only person who's concerned about this in this town. And I think that you need to be, as a group, more attentive to this situation and more sensitive to it in terms of moving it up the scale of the priorities that you have for this town. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? All right, then we'll move on to the next item of business. Under new business, we're looking at tonight the selection of the Town of Troutman Citizen of the Year and also Organization of the Year. And we'll start with Citizen of the Year, and I believe we have three, let's see here, three individuals. We will start, and we have three individuals, well actually two individuals and a married couple that have been nominated. The first nomination is Billy Joe Matheson Powell. The second nomination are Betty Jean and Jim Troutman. And the third is Ms. Sherry Saunders. I presume that the council has had a chance to read the nomination forms as well as the attached bio, shall we say, of the individuals. And at this point in time, I will open up the floor to discussion of the nominees.
Well, I will say that we definitely have a very good group of nominees. When I look at a 90-year-old out there delivering meals, and then I see another one that was such a big supporter of the Greenway and actually got voted out of office because of her support for it before it was built, didn't realize, others realized how much it was, they came back. And then Miss Saunders up there at the school, you know, we've all probably been involved in handing out meals at school, so doing all the stuff she does, so it made it very tough this year. I will say who I'd nominate by waiting until somebody else has a couple words.
Felina, let me just come down and ask you individual. Felina, comment?
I agree. It's tough because I've been intricately involved with the school. So Sandra's work was near and dear to my heart. But again, looking at the lady, the seasoned lady out, you know, doing different things in the community, that means a lot to me as well. And then the couple, and just if you wanted to hear who I'm looking towards Ms. Powell.
We have three wonderful candidates. All three are deserving of this, and the couple, Betty Jean and Jim, they've been, as a couple, they've been doing it a long time, and I'm kind of putting my vote towards Betty Jean and Jim Troutman for all the years and the hard work they've done on the committees and on council here.
Well, I really can't add anything other than agree with what George had said, that in years past, we have to come down to the wire and we only have one candidate for Citizen of the Year. And this year, we have three nominees, and it has been hard.
And I concur, and we have three good ones. You know, it's you know, sometimes it's a no-brainer. As Sally says, it comes down to one. It's a no-brainer. And this year it is anything but that. And all of them are well-deserved, and I would ask that, obviously, two are not going to make it this year, so to speak. There's going to be one winner. And that they perhaps be renominated in the future, because they are all, I know, familiar with the, all individuals, and all of them are well deserving of the honor. So at this time,
I'd like to add also that
Go ahead.
the piece that kind of sets me, I mentioned with Betty Jean and her part, but then the other side kind of threw me towards Betty Jean and Jim is that when we started our searches for town manager, I don't know how many people contacted me and told me about Jimmy Troutman, how he run this town for us, and he was here, and we need to look into the city, and why we had him, and he was always thrown up to, as a kind of a person to look at as we pick a town manager, that he ran this town and the things he did, so, and that would be why I think put him over the top is when you put both of them together, that's a pretty powerful statement.
I can tell you from working with Jim for a number of years, before he left for a little while and then came back as the manager or supervisor of our public works for 6-7 years and then retired, that before him, we had a kind of a contracted type of person running the town, and actually he was a Duke Power employee operating out of the Duke Power office, and last name was Sherrill, I can't remember his first name, but anyhow, he kind of did it in between his day job, literally, and we really didn't, as far as town clerk, if you will, kind of a town clerk too. I mean, it was really very shoestring operation when I first moved to Troutman. And Jim was hired by Lauren Powell and the council at the time, in '75, I believe it was, and because Jim had been on just a year or two when I was appointed. And long story short, what I'm getting to is that you're correct. Jim took it when it was really a shoestring operation, turned it into something a lot more, because Troutman was growing at the time, and we needed more than somebody working out of Duke Power office, a Duke Power employee who was doing this part-time, and more of a favor than anything else, being town clerk and jack of all trades, if you will, for the town. So, Jim is responsible for the building we're in. Even it was added later, but the initial building that was built in the early '90s, he's responsible for. A lot of the infrastructure that I was referring to a while ago, and the demands continue. Jim oversaw it. When he came on board, there were no maps, really didn't know where a lot of the lines were. We started in 1925 with our laying of pipe, and nobody bothered. Of course, back then everything was loosey-goosey. Nobody bothered to make a lot of the maps, so he took on the task of trying to locate and map and bring us into the 20th century, shall I say. And he's done a lot. And Betty Jean, likewise, has been a very important part of this town, both civic and politically. She has served this town and done it well, and continues to be very responsive. And again, I'm not taking anything away from Ms. Powell and Ms. Saunders, but Jim, I would really love to, and Betty Jean both, I would love to see their work and their interest and concern for this town be rewarded. So, that's my feeling on the matter. And so at that point, how would we like to conduct the vote? Do we want to do a nomination style, or just I call out all three and we have a raising of hands? Obviously you vote for one. As I read out all three, I count the hands, and whoever has the most votes, or has at least 3 votes, I should say, by the time we end, will be the
Sounds
winner.
good.
So I'll start with, as it's here presented, those in favor of Ms. Billy Jo Matheson Powell, please raise your hand. Okay, we got one there, okay. All right, the next one would be for Betty Jean and Jim Troutman. I think I need to go any further. I think that takes care of it, okay. All right, so the nominee is for Citizen of the Year is Betty Jean and Jimmy Troutman, and we will present the award to them at our next meeting. And Kim, if you would get a hold of them and inform them, if you would, please. Okay, all right, the next order of business Organization of the Year. All right, and I believe that is a very good nomination, and kudos to the person that nominated these folks, very good folks, and that's the Troutman Fire and Rescue Department. And so that is who's nominated for Organization of the Year, and before I call for a vote, do I have any discussion on the matter?
I'd just like to recognize them being out with the Easter Bunny and back there at Christmas with Santa Claus. I see them across the street over at the middle school at the corner, greet everyone. My granddaughter always comes running in all excited when she sees that stuff. So, you know, they do all this stuff in the community. Even with all these things going on, we couldn't have the bigger parties. These guys are right there with Emily, making sure those two seasons were recognized. And for that, I just think that was a great suggestion that they were.
And also recognize Halloween, they had to drive through Halloween.
Oh, that's right. I forgot the Halloween. That's supposed to say they stepped up when we couldn't get other things done, and they helped Emily a lot to make sure that the town did help our kids get recognize a lot of these things. So that is one of the reasons why I think it's a great selection.
Would anybody else like to comment?
I do,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Finkel. I think it's a great nomination. They represent the town of Troutman 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. And they're always there for our residents and citizens when help is needed, or if help is not needed. They put joy, as Mr. Harris said, into our community. So, I mean, they're always working and always there for us, 365, 24 hours a day. So, going to be very proud to present them with that.
Ellie, would you like to make a comment?
I would just like to say that, not only did, they have stepped up and helped the morale of all the citizens of town in the various things that you have taken part in, and I certainly appreciate it, and everyone's service and dedication to their occupation.
My only comment is kudos to everything you've heard. I concur. I concur. All right, well, with that, I will call for the vote. Nomination, Organization of the Year, Troutman Fire and Rescue. Would someone like to make a motion to that effect?
I will make that motion,
Do I
sir.
have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, have a first and a second. All those in favor, Organization of the Year, Troutman Fire and Rescue, please raise your hand. Yes, okay, all right, it's unanimous. All right, Organization of the Year, and again, we will present the award at our next meeting, and a little commentary, and obviously, hopefully hear a speech. Thank you all, appreciate it. All righty, the next on the list here is consider planning and reappointments and nominations and so forth, and Mr. Town Manager, I'm going to turn this over to you, sir.
At this point, we've got reappointments of Karen Van Fleet as an in-town member for Planning and Zoning Board. Her term currently expires May 14th, 2021. We also have reappointment of board member Kenneth Reed as an in-town board member. His term expires May 15th, 2021. We also have appointment of Lori Eberly, an alternate town board member, to fill the unexpired term of Ray Welsh as a voting member. His term would expire 9/13/2022. We would also like you to consider the appointment of Frank Burgess that you met Monday as an in-town alternate to fill what would hopefully be the vacant position of Lori Eberly as an inside alternate. Her term would expire 9/14/2023. And then we would like to consider the nomination to the Iredell County County Commissioners for consideration of reappointment of Mark Taylor as an ETJ member whose term will expire June 30th of 2021.
All right. All right, how would you folks like to handle it? All at one time or take
Yes.
each individual?
I think all at
All at
once.
one time?
Yeah, that's because they're all already on there now, except for
Correct.
one new one, and we met him the other night.
Correct.
I'd like to make a motion that we do these reappointments and the appointment of Lori Elbury and Frank Burgess to those spots mentioned here and the other 3 plus the renomination of Mark Taylor.
Basically as presented by our town manager. Does anybody else have anything else to say? With that, I will call for the vote. Excuse me?
The second, he made the nomination.
Oh, he made the, apologies, I thought you were just commenting there. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, have a second. All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? It's unanimous then. As presented by staff, the appointment and nomination for Mark and election, or appointment, I should say, of Frank and Lori and Ken, again, as presented. I won't go into the details, you've already heard those, is passed. All right, so with that, we'll move to the next order of business. All right, we need to set a meeting date for our budget workshop, and again, I'll turn it over to our manager.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, as we discussed Monday, if you all have not found any conflicts in your calendar, the date that we had discussed and suggested for our budget workshop would be May the 11th. We would meet here at 8:30 for, to begin and have some coffee and light breakfast items individually served, because we expect some COVID protocols to still be in place. Our meeting will begin, for those that wish to be in attendance, at 9:00 a.m. To begin our budget workshop. If everything goes as we are allowed, and each department director, based off of last year's meetings and what we have learned, if everything goes accordingly, it would be completed that day. If not, our suggested date that we discussed for a second meeting would be May 25th with similar hours. And also, just a reminder for everyone here and those that were not able to attend or did not see our meeting by web, the mayor will be unavailable that day until 1:00 p.m. So, Mayor Pro Tem, it would be your meeting to begin until the mayor could join us at 1:00 p.m. that date.
Now, that's the May 11th date that you all said, 11th?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
May the 11th. He would be
Thank you.
unavailable until 1:00 p.m. But unless you all have conflicts, the date that we all had was the first date would be May the 11th. If for whatever reason we are unable to complete it, and/or there is homework for the staff to go and do research and come back before our completion can be done, May 25th would be the second date that we would need. And as also a reminder, we have until the last day of June to complete our budget for approval, but we hope to have all of our work completed so that it could be voted on and approved at our normal calendared meeting in June.
Okay, we've heard town manager what is recommended. Do I have any comments before we take a vote and officially set the dates? Do I have a motion of what our town manager just presented in setting a meeting date for our budget workshop?
I'll make that motion that we have our meeting on May 11th, 2021, sir.
Okay. The backup date, if
The
needed.
backup
second.
day is May 25th if needed.
If needed. Okay. Any comments on that? Okay, all right, I have a second. All right, again, comments, okay, none, all right, take a vote, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's set officially. All right, we are now getting down to close to the end here. Comments from officials and staff. We'll start off with town council members. Any comments from town council members?
I would like to ask the council to, or maybe look at the town manager, consider recognizing Mrs. Powell and Ms. Saunders for their things they did during the COVID, as we recognize some others. And I mean, I see a 96-year-old going around giving food to people, checking on others to make sure they're okay. I'm thinking that's pretty special too. we didn't make them Citizen of the Year, but we could recognize them. And then Miss Saunders, I remember when I went up there to shake hands and stuff with the kids before COVID came around, she said, "You find my chocolate Malibu out front, just go in that door." Well, then I saw that chocolate Malibu sitting over at the middle school all those months getting that food out, and run, during that time when there was no school, to make sure that the food was still going out from the schools. And so I think those two are worth recognizing as some kind of plaque or something.
Well, what I would propose then, also at the next meeting, and if they are able, they can attend. Tim or Town Manager, if you could maybe have some sort of recognition plaque, as has been mentioned by George, for the two, Billy Joe, for Billy Joe and Miss Saunders, and some sort of recognition, and we can say a few words, and if they're not able to be with us, we can at least recognize them and send the plaque to them, and if not, they can come up here and speak. But yeah, they'll be fine if that is consensus of the council. Does anyone have an objection to that? Okay, all right. Well, you folks can handle that then, and we'll at least recognize them with a plaque at the next meeting. Okay?
Okay. And the other thing I had was that there's the garden gallop up at the Children's Hope Alliance Saturday mornings, either a 3-mile run or a 1-mile walk, helping support the foster program. And it's like any of you get a chance to plan to come out there for it. It's pre-registration through tomorrow, and then I think it's $30 a person, and it's $40 on Saturday.
Hope the weather cooperates.
And it's supposed to, I was looking at the weather before I left here at home, and the rain's not supposed to come in until Saturday afternoon or later Saturday, so the morning should be fine. It's 9 to 12. And that program, my little girl is one of them that works at.
What is that? Where are they walking or running up there?
I would tell you, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, it said garden. Of course, they got a place up there recognizes
The garden thing is more with the foster children, helping them grow.
Right.
And that's where the garden comes from, that part of from the fostering.
I don't know if it's in that area.
And the gallop, I guess, is run. But my guess is they're going to probably run down the Greenway towards Food Line and back up that way.
Okay.
Well, in saying that, we also have a program here that starts our couch to pre-K, so I wish them well with their event, but we've got a program on our greenways already, so whatever they're doing kind of needs to not run into what we already have programmed for the town. So, and I spoke with one of their hosts and their event, so we have an event already scheduled within our town couch to pre-K, so whatever they're doing is primarily focused to be on their campus. And I spoke with one of their organizers in there, so we can't have a whole lot of people running it together.
Of course, yeah.
And as of Wednesday, when I was at the radio, that was one of the things that we discussed is what are they doing and where. So we hope that there's understanding that we have an event scheduled here, which is our couch to pre-K that starts at this exact same time on Saturday morning. So we will be utilizing our greenway for that event.
Sounds like you got it in hand. You and Emily have it in hand. They are aware of it, so
Yeah.
I would hope that they.
We have tried to express that, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I really have nothing at this time, so I'm gonna turn it over to staff. I'm
I
sorry,
have
excuse me.
something. Sorry, that's okay. I would like to, well, I know he's not here, hopefully he's listening, but I would like to thank Todd for accompanying our town manager Wednesday for the radio show, and I would like to thank you for thinking to take staff to the show. I think that's a great way to showcase our staff in the various departments.
I would like to take credit for that, but I have to give credit to Emily Watson, who we was trying to think how to expand the radio. I appreciate Councilman Harris for going with me last week. We have a lot of material to talk about, and we want to share to those who listen. And each week, different people comment on the radio show, and we want to try to take some new material each and every week that we go. And in trying to come up with, hey, what would be good that the citizens would like to hear, I have to give credit where credit is due. And going back to this weekend when I texted you all, to let you know and sharing with office staff of, hey, what could we talk about? It was actually Emily's idea, because we was talking about this weekend and Todd being summoned from church to come out, and a lot of times our citizens don't know they don't know unless we tell them. So it was an opportunity that we thought to seize, to let them know why sometimes our people are on call or driving vehicles, and it worked out to be great. But thank you very much for saying so.
Sure. And I also like to personally thank our staff for being such a great staff and doing their jobs. And I'm sure at times it seems like it's a thankless job, but I do appreciate the work that they do.
Thank you, ma'am.
I want to piggyback on what Sally just said. I had an issue in my neighborhood today, and interim chief, I saw the guy, and by the time I came back from dropping my son off, the police officer was there in our neighborhood, and they actually caught the guy. And then he was at different people's houses because different things happened in the neighborhood. So I appreciate him being there for us. It just makes me proud to be a Troutman resident, because I know that we have officers who care and who are there for us. So thank you for your staff, and I'll tell you the name after I can't remember it.
Thank you.
All right, any other good stories? All right, well, good. Well, I'm all positive, and I'm glad to hear that. I love positive stories, and our staff are certainly, police department, public works, town hall, all of them are as we all know, are very capable individuals who do us proud each and every day, and really appreciate it. Thank y'all for bringing that to the attention of the public. All right, with that, then I will turn it over to staff.
I just want to echo along this same sentiment of what council has already mentioned. Sometimes when people see things, the obvious don't jump out there. Like what Council Lady Harris just said, today we was in public with the interim chief and one of the police officers and I having lunch, and as I went to leave, one of our citizens saw that we were having lunch. It was a late lunch, and they're like, oh, y'all must have had a 2-hour lunch. I said it would have been great if we did, but as the interim chief can tell you, it was a late lunch because we had worked early. We had to work through most people's normal lunch, but it's good that the citizens see and notice different things that we do, but sometimes what it may appear is not always the story. But Officer Scott today let us know some of the feedback that he's had of working here so many years, and he let us know today that he appreciates the town so much, and that he's bought a home inside our city limits. So we now have a new employee that lives in our city limits, and that's a good thing. So we appreciate that occurs. But also we have another employee. We've advertised for some jobs locally and on our website, and somebody, instead of assuming some good out of it, assumed a negative, that hey, that somebody else left. Well, there's always in any company and anything going to be attrition with jobs, but in this situation, one of our employees, Danielle Upright, who's worked here for several years, because of our town growth over the years, with planning directors leaving and taking jobs elsewhere, saw that we had a void and wound up helping citizens, and basically self-initiated, self-taught, was doing things in the planning department that was not necessarily her job, but because she wanted to help citizens in customer service, wound up learning things that was not necessarily her job, nor did anybody direct her to do. And she wound up morphing into a position that was not her job. And because of that, has earned herself into a promotion, and we are now hiring somebody to take her place because she's earned a promotion. So we have a lot of employees here wearing hats that's not necessarily their primary duties and jobs. And just like that, we're tickled that Danielle has earned a promotion, and we're looking to get somebody to join the team in her place And one of the persons that we've already interviewed, during her interview process has stated, because of the way Kim was in on the interview, has said it already feels like family here. So we are tickled that comes out when we do interviews already. But we appreciate what you all have said and your support of staff, and we're looking forward to building our family atmosphere, as the one applicant said in our interviews that we do. And the chief, we did an interview today, and same thing was said during that interview. So we're looking forward to building our team as we go forward.
Excellent, excellent, thank you. Are y'all, okay? Something, looking at Gary, popped in my head, light went off, that I should have written down and did not, that I should have commented. So before I ask for a motion to adjourn, and council, please, if I'm saying anything that you folks don't agree with, please jump in and correct me. But I think it's council's interest and direction to please update our town charter. I understand that, you know, it may be some correcting and updating that's not, I won't say minor, but it's not major, up to and including kind of starting over and coming out with a completely new town charter based on maybe what some other templates or examples from surrounding towns' charters. You know, use that as a starting point to come up with a completely new town charter. So the basics is that I think we just want to see that our charter is up to date and reflects, you know, what is, and reflects most current ordinances that are reflected through the charter, especially in personnel matters and so forth. So this is what we're looking for and asking you to do. And let me ask you, some kind of a timeline. How long do you think it would take you to come up with some a proposal or proposals for us to consider and possibly
I would
pass?
say 2 or 3 months, and I would actually suggest that you might want to form a committee of the council to work on that as well. And because I think the thing to do will be look at other charters and pick and choose some items that may be in other charters. Some charters are very long, some are very short. And pick and choose and have the committee probably make a final recommendation. But yeah, some of it needs to be updated, like there's stuff in there about condemnation that doesn't quite match the current statutes, and things such as that.
Yeah. And I'd like to see, even though ordinance has changed some things since the charter of 81, 82, I'd like to see, you know, some of those things updated and accurately reflect, you know, current, you know.
Plus, depending on the changes that are made, it will have to go to the legislature.
Right.
Either in the 2000, it would be too late for this session, but in the 2002 short session, probably not, because they don't tend to do local things. If not, then it'd be the 2023 long session. So that gives plenty of time. But I would suggest a committee of council to work on it with.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's normally reserved for the mayor, so I will talk with him tomorrow. And he'll get that together, and I'm sure he'll be talking with you as well. I had discussions with him this afternoon, so he'll continue that with you, and I'm sure he'll come up with, you know, several people and appoint them, and he'll be involved, obviously, so it'll be coordinated, and I'm sure our town manager may be involved as well, I would think. Again, that's up to the mayor. At this point then, okay, well, you've answered my question. I will get with the mayor, with T-Ross, and I'm sure he'll be getting back with you tomorrow or the next day. He's kind of on some personal family matter, and so it may be a day or two, but I'll talk with him tomorrow and go over what we discussed tonight.
And something else on that, he called me today and asked me to ask y'all if anybody had a question about the email that I sent out on Tuesday. He asked me to, he was gonna have me talk about all that on Monday, and then he forgot. So I sent out the email on Tuesday. See if you had any questions about that.
I don't, no. All right, okay, well, at least we know we've got the ball rolling on that, and we'll continue with the appointment of a committee and move from there then, okay? Yes, sir.
In reference to, funding that we had spoke about with some possible federal monies coming, I have spoke with our representatives. It is a possibility that there may be some state funds, as we had already talked with our engineers, and we have some, as we did our retreat, we talked about some infrastructure necessities that's got to be coming in the near future. Also, we still have some improvements that we've got to plan for. And I have crafted the letter as I had, spoke to you all about, and sent to our House member and also to our state senator, expressing to them, based off of those same projected costs that was given to you all, by Benji, our engineer, for what our projected immediate needs would be in the next 1 year and 2 year, for our infrastructure needs. So hopefully that will take care of those federal monies and or state monies, which will not near cover the cost of our projects, but hopefully it will keep us from having to have any major impacts. But I have crafted those letters and sent out, and I will forward that to you all, a copy of that to you all, within the next day, or with my weekly report, so that you all will have a copy of that as well, so that you all will see what they have, so that they can lobby on our behalf to hopefully get some more funds, so that it will not impact us in our budget. Well, hopefully it will not impact us in our budget, so, because that would be a couple $1 million if we have to wind up funding it ourselves.
Yes, sir. I'll look forward to that. All right, thank you. Anybody else have anything before we call for an adjournment? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All right, all those in favor, aye?